Hi, you guys. I am back with you with another message that is going to be brief and short. I just wanted to get going on telling you a few things I'm seeing across the earth at this time. And this one is going to be on earthquakes. And I have a lot to say about it, but I'm going to keep it brief anyway. Before I get into reporting to you what is actually happening across the earth, I want to show you. So I'm going to be showing you a few things that are going to be very interesting to you. But I want you to know something. You live in a little city, you live in a town, and you may not know what's going on across the earth unless you're paying attention. So paying attention is essential. It's hard to get people to pay attention these days. If it doesn't impact their life in the immediate, it's kind of off the charts, right? Well, the scriptures, this is an interesting scripture here. So I'm setting the stage for why earthquake watch is important. We do not lose heart, but though the outer man is decaying, our inner man is being renewed day by day. For momentary light affliction is producing for us an eternal weight of glory far beyond all comparison. So I wanted to get to this point right here. When we are in affliction, which is more afflictions coming, but when we're in affliction, we should be looking not at the things which are seen, but the things that are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal. The world does not see in the unseen realm. And unfortunately, a lot of believers don't keep their eyes on the unseen realm either, the not seen. So your eyes can actually see things that are not seen. And I'm going to show you something today that most people aren't seeing. They're not seeing it, and they're actually, this verse here in Acts 13 might be recognized by you if you've been following along in my videos. I've been taking you through Habakkuk. And this is actually the 5th verse of the chapter 1. Remember in Habakkuk where God answers Habakkuk and says, I'm doing a work in your day that you would not believe even if you were told? Well, Paul quotes this verse right here. Take heed so that the things spoken of in the prophets may not come upon you. So, the things spoken of in the prophets, the judgments of God, take heed so those things do not come upon you. And Paul said to them, Behold, you scoffers, and marvel and perish. For I am accomplishing a work in your days, a work which you will never believe, though someone should describe it to you. And there's a lot of that right now. In fact, some of this stuff is kind of unbelievable, isn't it? But people say another thing too, and Peter dealt with this in 2 Peter. Know this first of all, that in the last days mockers will come with their mocking, following after their own lusts, and saying, Where is the promise of his coming? What are they saying there? Well, people will say, everybody keeps saying, Christ is at the door, he's coming back, oh, it's for our generation, it's going to come back. In fact, I pretty much believe almost every generation has felt that way. This is it, right? And that's why we feel discredited when we're drawing people's attention to the unfolding events of our day. And people will say, well, everybody's said that all the time. That's what Paul or Peter here is addressing. Where is the promise of his coming? He's not coming back anytime soon. Then they say this, ever since the fathers fell asleep, all continues just as it was from the beginning of creation. Nothing's changing. Well, do you know, and I'm going to show you this in just a minute, that there are elements on the earth that are going on that would escape your notice if I didn't show you or if somebody didn't show you? Some really big things. Now what I'm going to show you today is in my top 10 list. Well, actually, this is number 11. So this didn't even make it to my top 10 list. I think it's big, but I think there are 10 bigger things. You can give me your top 10 list when you write one up, or if you have one up. All right, so in these earthquakes, check this out. Nation will rise up against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be earthquakes in various places, Jesus said. There will also be famines. And when you see these things are merely the beginning of birth pains. So what I'm going to show you today is just merely the beginning of birth pains. Isaiah 24 is interesting because this is going to get a lot worse, and I'm going to come back to that. Why don't we take a break from the scriptures for a second and see what it is that I'm seeing. This is a program that I use right here. It's called QuakeFeed. I learned to do this a few years, probably 4 or 5 years ago. Somebody introduced me to this app, and I put it on my phone. It's called QuakeFeed. And you can download it for free. And so when I started downloading that, or after I downloaded that app, I started to pay attention to what it says. And here's what the information is that it gives me here. There's a lot of information on the quakes throughout the earth, and I just took a little snapshot of my phone, screenshot. But I want to draw your attention not to the level of the high earthquakes, the big ones. This thing goes all the way from the highest all the way down to 2.0. So I have it, you could set it for how strong the earthquakes are. So I go all the way down to 2.0, and I set my period of seven days. So I want to know all the earthquakes on the earth in a 7-day period that are 2.0 or higher. Okay, that's what I did. And I've been watching that, and when I first started, it was averaging around 250 earthquakes throughout the earth in a 7-day period, the whole earth. 250 earthquakes above 2.0. And you can see I took a little shot here many years after I started this, and it was running around 312. Actually, prior to January of 2017, we had a period last year where it shot up to 500, around the 500 range. I didn't capture a screen of that, but I would say for the most part it's been averaging around 250. And this is where you can, this is what I'm following, this number right here, the 312. And it went down to 291, and it went up to 367 here in January, but it jumped up in February to 404, and finally it jumped up to 484. You can see that was starting to get pretty high. I thought that was interesting. So last year at the end of the year and then early this year it jumped up and into the 500s again. You can see here I have a 506 here around the beginning of April here. We have something as late as April 8th on this page. But a lot's happened since then. If we go down a little ways, we can see, well, it jumped back up to all the way up to 566 in mid-April, but then it went back down to 390 at the end of April here. At the latest date about 423, April 23rd of 2017. But then we see at the end of April jump back up to 550, then to 583, and then at the end of April it was running around 600, and it's jumped up higher than that in May now. It's up here, I'm showing you, let's see, I'm right here. I'm showing you here in May, it's at 763. 779, 797 was one of the highest numbers I have. I don't know if it made it to 800. I didn't see 800 when I checked, but it did make it to 797. And now it's going back down to around the 550 mark again. Is this significant? Well, I think it's interesting that it hasn't gone back down to 250 anytime in the last year. and it was running at 250 for most of the time that I've been watching this. So there's been some increase in activity across the earth of earthquakes. Is it significant? Well, I think it's just the beginning. Because if you look at what Isaiah 24 says, it says, "Behold, the Lord lays the earth waste, devastates it, distorts its surface, and scatters its inhabitants." I mean, it's going to get worse, right? Down here he says in Isaiah, "The earth is broken asunder, the earth is split through, the earth is shaken violently. The earth reels to and fro like a drunkard, and it totters like a shack." So earthquakes will rise much higher than this. I have a really amazing video to send you guys very soon. I'm hoping to maybe get it done this afternoon on something the Lord showed me last night. And I also want to do part 2 on recompense. Remember that video from last week? I want to do a little bit more on that. So I'm hoping to get a few videos out here on that. So keep an eye open for what happened last night. It was amazing. God met with me in the middle of the night. He woke me up at 1 o'clock. And I'll tell you a little story of what happened if I can get this out to you guys. So, well, that's good. I wanted to keep it short. It's just about 11 minutes into this video, a little over. I'm going to let you go until next time. And I'll come out with a top 10 list here pretty quick. So, see you later.